Oh boy, avoid. Here we go. Now, this is a popular movie to hate on, so a lot of what's been said has already been said about the 2005 Alone in the Dark, a video game adaptation by the infamous Uwe Boll. Okay, so I've seen a lot of Uwe Boll movies. And I will probably be talking about a lot of them on my show along the way. But, Alone in the Dark. Now, whenever I have seen this movie multiple times, because for some reason, I can't ever recall what I dislike about it. I mean, I don't hate the film by any means, but it's one of those movies that's has an infamy about being a bad film. But a year or two will go by, and I'll forget why. And then I'll try to watch Alone in the Dark. And I still can't put my finger in exactly the problem I'm having. But one issue is I almost always start falling asleep during it. That is probably why I don't recall a lot, because I can't stay awake through Alone in the Dark. Essentially, I've never played the video game series, so I don't know much about that. But this one is so convoluted and dull about it that there is a lot going on, and I can barely tell you what it is. Other than there's monsters in the dark that don't like gold, I guess. Okay. So, first off, there's an over degree of narration at the beginning, which really sets the tone of when you need this much exposition at the front in a very dull, dry voice. And I think, if I recall correctly, I watched this like 2 weeks ago, and I'm already forgetting it. It fades that quickly. I believe the narration kind of continues along throughout it, and they're trying to shoehorn so much plot in, but none of it really adds anything, and it just comes off as dull. I'm pretty sure the narration continues throughout it. Okay. Anyway, so we got Edward Carnby, a name I only know because it's right here in front of me. Played by Christian Slater. He's a PI who used to work for a super secret government organization that looks into things that go bump in the night. So it's the Hellboy Institute with more guns. Anyway, he gets word of some strange goings on, starts investigating them as some guy has a weird relic. Meanwhile, on an expedition, another relic is found inside a box that had a monster in it that was pulled up and murders everyone except for the one guy who kind of knew about it. And he sends it to his assistant, who starts analyzing it and finding this big conspiracy that all these pieces of this ancient civilization were hidden over all of the world. She's played by Tara Reid. And we got one guy, and we also have Stephen Dorff as one of the main members of the super secret government gun organization. So it's not like you have a bad cast. They just are given nothing to work with. So, Carnby was an orphan, and he had experiments done on him, and a lot of other people also did, and now they're all acting strange, except for him, because he was electrocuted. Are you following me? Because I'm barely following what I'm saying. But they all have to go to this mine for some reason, which is full of monsters, but they didn't think it was full of monsters, because a traitor in their organization cleared it a long time ago, but now it's leaking dark monsters. I can never even tell you what these monsters look like. I mean, you can kind of sort of see like a thing here, but they sometimes seem quadrupedal, they sometimes seem bipedal. You never really get a clear look at them, and other than them being very CG. And I guess all the pieces will open a door somewhere down there, but that's also the lab where he was at as a child getting his weird alien monster implants. And I guess at the end of it, despite them managing to shut everything, the city is still abandoned and maybe taken over by dark monsters. I don't really understand how this film ended. Okay. The effects are not good. There's a lot of CG blood, which looks terrible. The dialogue is odd. Some things just seem a little off when the characters are trying to interact. Like, they're not really doing character development, they're just spitting exposition at each other in hopes to catch the audience up to what's going on without having any chemistry between them. I mean, Stephen Dorff doesn't like Christian Slater, but a few bits later they're buddy-buddy, so... And I guess Tara Reid is the super sexy archaeologist who gets a thing for Christian Slater. The movie's a mess. And the thing is, a mess like this should be at least entertainingly watchable. But it's boring. That's the problem I have here with Alone in the Dark, is with all this madness going on, it should be interesting. But it isn't. You can't tell what's going on half the time, because either it's so dark or it's just a bunch of quick cut action scenes. You have no sense of what's happening at any given time, so it's just this autopilot staring at the thing, trying to stay awake. And I don't know, every time I watch this, I swear I miss a couple minutes because I cannot stay awake through this movie. And I'm watching it at like 3 p.m. in the middle of the day with something to eat. Caffeine in my hand, and I can't stay awake through this. And I will watch some very bad movies, and I stay through them just fine. I don't know what it is that's so hypnotic, that turns this thing into a hypnotic lullaby. I mean, I've seen plenty of other Uwe Boll films. Blood Rain, House of the Dead, they don't put me to sleep. I mean, I'm in the minority that didn't think Blood Rain was terrible. Not a good adaptation, no, not at all. But at least wasn't awful. But Alone in the Dark, there's just something about it that... I don't know what it is, but it's boring. It has all the pieces to not be boring. But I think they're trying to cram so much story that doesn't make sense into a film that doesn't even understand its own story. And the actors don't know what they're saying, so they can't convey it very well. They don't know what's going on, so we don't know what's going on. The movie doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So, normally a film like this I wouldn't drop it down to the bottom, but because it is so dull, I gotta give it one MacGuffin. I mean, I've seen a lot of worse made movies, but there's some part of how all these pieces fit together that makes it the perfect storm of dull. So, one MacGuffin. I don't give out that rating very often, and even though there's other Uwe Boll films, I wouldn't rate down one MacGuffin, but this one, and I keep trying. I've seen this movie 3 or 4 times. I don't know what's happening with it. 2005, Alone in the Dark. If you're having trouble sleeping, here's your fix. See ya, Void.